For each of you, who is your favorite character to write? And if you didn't really write a character, then who's your favorite character?
I'll let Dak go first.
All right. Well, I didn't really write, so my favorite character though, probably in the entire mod, I gotta think. I'm gonna be honest. I might sound a little basic, but I think that the entity is the goat because the entity is just so fucking. She's such a fucking troll, bro. Like she was really fucking funny throughout some of the endings, and I really liked her. And plus, she's creepy as shit. So.
You know what? That's a great answer. For me, since I did most of the writing, my favorite character to write was MC. I know that's a basic answer, but most of the mod is about MC and the entity, and it was a lot of fun being able to write him. But that being said, I absolutely loved writing the GOAT Cashier. He didn't appear nearly as much as MC, but he was a GOAT status every appearance. He was really fun. At first, he was supposed to just be like a character who's like, hey, there's the secret mod pack or whatever. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to make him into a character. And I always loved writing him, but my favorite has got to be MC.
What are some of the less obvious inspirations for the writing, plot, etc.?
So there's a few of them. In the new claustrophobia ending, I was inspired by one of the FNAF books called 1:35 a.m. I really enjoyed that story, and I think it was a really interesting idea that really fit what I wanted to do with Haunting of Monika After Story. So that was one of them for sure. At the very beginning, I was like, what if we made a Sonic.exe sort of game where Monika After Story comes into the real world? But then we decided, like, that was like years ago, like before we even started like the heart of the mod. And then we made it completely different. But overall, I mean, I would say like some of the endings specifically have inspiration, like the Insanity ending is sort of inspired by Needy Streamer Overload. The Overdose ending is obviously inspired by Needy Streamer Overload. But overall, I'd say it's like the main story itself was sort of my own thing, but some of the other endings would branch into inspiration like that.
WTF happened to the broken glass?
That is a great question. Doc Hero ate it mid-development.
Yeah, sorry, I got hungry because like we haven't been fucking eating the entire time. Well, me at least,
I know.
because I was a slave in terms of coding. So yeah, I just had to eat the glass. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It happens to the best of us, though. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. The glass appearing or disappearing doesn't matter too much. The main idea behind it was sort of like, I really wanted this uneasy feeling throughout the mod. Like, oh, what's going on? So, was the glass really there? Was it not there? That's for you to find out. I know the answer, but that's the best answer I'll give. Except Doc ate it. That's where it went, actually.
Yeah, no, that's canonically what happened. Sorry.
Well, that's a good segue into the next question. How much pizza do you estimate you ate over the course of its development?
I mean, Dak, you see,
Oh, okay. No,
eating that glass, he's like, I'm hungry, man, and that glass wasn't sustaining enough. And he ate like
no. I wonder
pieces
who that
every
question
day,
was fucking directed
and,
toward. Don't put that on me, bro.
How many pizzas were eaten during development? Well, let's see. We made the first version of the mod last year. We made most of that over a month. So what happened is actually development started a year before that, but we just got like the first couple of days in, and then there was just a year break where we didn't do anything. And then Dak's like, "Hey, let's get this mod done." I'm like, "Bet," and we got it done in a month for release. Over that course, Friday's a go-to pizza night. So I would say back then, there was 4 pizzas eaten over development. Over the Haunting of MAS 2.0 Halloween version, I don't know, bro. Maybe a few more than 4, bro. I don't know, bro. That's for you to find out, I guess. As for the ones Dak ate, there was a few dozen, but you know.
Oh, okay,
Because,
okay. You wanna tell me that? That's crazy, bro. That's some crazy work. I'm not gonna lie.
That's crazy. MC dies in every ending besides the McDonald's ending. So I'm assuming the sequel will have a new MC, or will there ever be a sequel for a good ending MC?
So this is an interesting question, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but here's what I'm going to say. With Haunting of Monica After Story 2.0 and the Halloween edition, the MC story is done. It's done. At least his story, or like his character, if that makes sense. It's not that his existence won't matter moving forward, and I guess that kind of reveals that there is more I want to do with the story, but it's not going to be MC's story anymore. It's going to be the general world. I think with the epilogue in the Halloween version, I think I did everything I wanted to do with the character. I think bringing him back again would kind of be kind of unnecessary, you know. And especially because like when we continue the story, it's going to be continued from the main ending idea, like the main ending of the base game, where he gets killed in the house. So you kind of can't come back after that. But so to answer the question, basically, MC's story is done. Yeah, that's about all I could say about that.
In the Hadeen ending, MC leaves a note about his experiences with Rilla's and Monica, but the Halloween endings are non-canon. This seems like a lot of effort to include something that could be used as a plot point in the sequel, but actually can't be used since it isn't canon. Any thoughts on what came from the note, if anything?
So, this is an interesting one. And I want to start off by saying the Halloween endings are canon. They're just in a different universe than the original games. Like, the way I see it is, every single ending is canon, if that's the choice you made. I would say in the original game, there is the main ending, and as I said earlier, we're going to continue the story of that world beyond that with the main ending, because it's the main ending, like the main universe. But all those other endings are canon. It's just an alternate choice he made, if that makes sense. The Halloween universe is a universe where the events of the main game take place in October instead of November, right? And so it's not that the note isn't canon. It's just that it's not in the main version of the mod where it takes place in November. As for the reason it's not going to be in a sequel and what comes from the note, the idea behind it is sort of showing that MC isn't giving up, right? The whole idea is he got trapped by the entity in his house after all of these people were, they helped him out and he still wasn't able to change himself, right? And that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, it was the same night that all these people were giving him advice. And I mean, he was being chased by some mysterious invisible entity. So what else are you gonna do? But it was sort of like, in that moment, he's like, I could just give up and die here, or I could not give up and die here. And even if I do die, I don't want my death to be meaningless. And I want the world to know about the realism of Monica. At the end of that ending, someone comes into the house and says, "Who's there?" And that person, I intended to find the note. That sentence where they come in and like, "Who's there?" was sort of like someone is gonna find the note. And once they find the note, it's gonna be revealed. And the whole idea is that if someone else gets hunted by the entity, then there'll be more information about it. Because like beforehand, there was nothing about it, and MC kept looking into this mod. He found nothing, absolutely nothing, and he felt like he was completely alone. But if someone else went through the same thing as him, and that note is out there, then more people are gonna start picking up on it, sort of thing. Obviously, everyone's not gonna believe it, but I just really liked the idea of that happening. And also, it wasn't just for that; it was for his friends as well. And the idea is that once the note was out there, all of the friends, if they saw it, would know what happened to him, but also that he was thinking about them before he got cooked. Unfortunately, rip and rest. Which, by the way, that ending was That was like that ending was hard to write because like that was like one of the it was one of the hardest endings to write, mainly just because I felt so bad for MC, man. Like we put him through so much, but that ending was just absolutely brutal. Like he got a girl's number, he met the goat John Taffer, he did all this stuff, and then he just gets, he gets killed again. But he was able to get that note out there. But I feel like with what I want to do with the story, which I'm not going to go into, the note being out there wouldn't work as well as a continuation of something like the main ending, right?
And
That's-
wait, to pick up where you left off, I do think that one of the biggest reasons, and like, it's not like the note didn't go anywhere, because I feel like that it was more of something that we alluded to in the Halloween's epilogue ending, where he obviously, he lives, and the same events of like the trick or treat ending happen in the canon Halloween universe ending, where he lives and he meets Abigail again and everything. So I feel like that it kind of just makes it also like amplifies that ending while also being its own thing, really.
yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah, and also I think it makes the ending a lot more impactful as well. I didn't want it to just be an ending where he died, and
Right.
I really wanted it because I think it's really hard to make a main character die and it be satisfying. And something I was really proud of what I did in the main ending of the base game was sort of like he still completed his arc, even
Right.
if he died. He still went on a meaningful journey, and it's more the Haunting of Monica After Story to me is more so a cautionary tale. Most of the endings, anyway. And the epilogue of the Halloween ending is what I consider to be the main ending of the Halloween universe, as Dak was saying earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
the biggest reasons that we made that ending is because of how bad we felt for MC in
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
Halloween ending.
yeah. Like I was like writing the ending layup one night, and then I just texted Doc here. I'm like, bro, I feel so bad. I don't want to kill this man off. And we're like, what if we do an epilogue showing an alternate set of events where they do take out Grimace before? And also, this wasn't, I didn't go into the Halloween update planning this, but I think it worked out pretty nicely as to why the Grimace ending in the original ending isn't canon. It's because the Grimace ending actually happens in this Halloween universe instead of the main one. Because in the original, the Grimace ending had the fake ending thing in the bottom left. But anyway, that's probably it's a pretty in-depth explanation, but this
Yeah.
is an interesting question. So
Do y'all plan to branch out for making DLC mods?
I mean, it's a very big possibility. Um, as JM kind of confirmed earlier, yeah, we are probably gonna make more to the Haunting of MAS story, but not for the main character. It's a potential possibility that we'll branch outside of a DDLC mod and be like, our own visual novel, but with the DDLC game existing in universe, like it did for the Haunting of MAS, of course. But I mean, it's always a possibility that we will branch out to different games, because like me and Jam, I believe that we're a pretty decent duo. I mean, we did make this whole mod,
pretty
which
decent
is
work.
very
Oh,
unique.
bro,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Hey,
I don't want to toot my own horn, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I know. But no. Seriously though, I would love to make more stuff. I'm a big fan of visual novels in general. I love visual novels. I would love to make more visual novels. But not only that, I'm also going into video game development outside of visual novels. So if the question is regarding visual novels, we'll have to wait and see. I hope so. If it's regarding other projects, definitely, I'm definitely gonna be making it some more, 3D games, maybe horror games or adventure games, or I we'll see. But I would love to make my own visual novel someday, with the C Bonnie Co crew because I think we're a pretty cool team. But for now, we do have some more DDLC mods that we're making. We're making well, I won't get too much into that, but we're definitely cooking up some stuff.
Other than answering questions about development here, do you guys ever plan on doing an insider/developer commentary video about the game?
So this is kind of interesting because we tried to do this, and what we did is we're just gonna play through the whole mod and we're just gonna do dev commentary over it. And we got like an hour in, and we were only on like the second day or something. We're like, well, that's kind of interesting. And we were like, well, what if we do like certain scenes or certain endings, or just go over like an overall thing of the whole mod? But we didn't get around to that yet. I would be interested in doing it in the future. I don't know how Dak feels.
The main issue with it is just that how long the mod is compared to how
Yeah.
much we have to talk, because a developer commentary is supposed to be like we're talking throughout the whole game, you know, or like in like movies that you might have remembered. There's like a fucking director commentary and director's cuts and all this shit where they talk over the whole movie, which, you know, I mean, it's different in their case because like they have like a set amount of time. The Haunting of MAS has like what now, like fucking 12 endings, so like we have to pace ourselves very well. Either that or we just have to make an entirely like edited video, which I feel like kind of takes from the commentary aspect of it, because like you aren't really like watching the whole game, you're seeing tidbits of it as we talk. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
It's certainly in the realm of possibility, but we'd have to approach it differently.
So
Right.
TLDR, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I do love talking about making the game because there's actually a lot of thought that went into this, but we'll have to wait and see. It's as Dak said it perfectly. It's pretty difficult to do, and that's what we ran into last time when we tried to do it.
There are a lot of endings. Do you think you did the right amount of endings, or were there too many/too few?
I think the amount of endings I did is probably the upper limit of what I'd want to do. I think it's the perfect amount. I think I thought it was the perfect amount for the original. I think there's 8 endings, right? I think so.
So yeah, for the original, I believe that there was just 8. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 8 endings. There's some meme endings in there, but I think overall for that original one, when I got all the endings done, I was like, you know what? I feel like this is the perfect selection of endings I wanted to add. And the thing is like every single one of those endings in the original game instantly came to my mind. I instantly thought of the running outside ending. I instantly thought of the clown ending, the insanity ending, the main ending. All of these endings, they all were just, they kind of wrote themselves in a way. I just thought they would fit really well with what I was trying to do. And then the grimace ending. That was so fun to make. But for the Halloween ending, I was like, because there was some problems. I watched some people play the game, and there was like some nitpicks here and there. I was like, oh, we could have done that better. We could have done that better. So I was like, hey, Dak, I kind of want to make a 2.0. And then we're like, what if we make it a Halloween version? And I was like, you know what? Halloween version sounds pretty cool. So I was like, I want to make some new endings, because I feel like if we made a 2.0 where there's no new endings, people wouldn't want to play it. And I was a little worried about this because I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I didn't want to milk the story dry. I feel like there's a set amount of things you can do with this character, but I think I was able to get all of the Halloween endings to work really well, and I think they added a lot to the original game. They took some more time to think about. There might be some things I changed here and there, but specifically the main Halloween ending with the note, which we were talking about earlier, I am very proud of that ending. That's one of my favorite endings. And I think all of them really added to the lore and were pretty interesting. I liked some concepts. I think for actually going back to the previous question about inspiration, I think the most inspiration I had were for these Halloween endings. Like, as I said, 1:35 a.m. There's the isolation ending, which had some inspiration from Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, peak fiction. But anyways, but I think I'm really happy with how the Halloween endings turned out. I think I'm glad it was only a couple of new ones, like 4 new ones, rather than like a bunch of new ones and stuff like that. Because I think the way we structured the game, too many endings would be it'd be a little much. I think we have. I think we have the perfect amount. You know, I could keep going on and on. I think we have the perfect amount of endings with the Halloween version. I feel like anything less than what I had in the original would have been too few, and I think anything more than what I have in the Halloween version would be too many, and that's why the number went that way. I mean, I could have made more, I could have made less, but it worked out this way, and I'm glad it did because I'm pretty happy with the final results.
Segueing into a similar question regarding endings, what are your thoughts on mods with a ton of endings, generally speaking? Do writers often add too many endings where it might feel like you're not getting enough of the story through a single playthrough, or maybe too few endings causes the reader to wonder about what ifs?
So, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't fucking played mods with that many endings. So to kind of turn that question on its head, DDLC mods, I mean, there's only like so much that you can do with them, right? I feel like that a lot of people just take the characters and like try to make as much as they can out of like, you know, their base personalities, maybe add a little bit more onto them, and you know, make a couple of cool stories about them. And like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that like, you know, oh, all these DDLC mods are kind of copy and paste. No, there's a lot of mods out there that are very unique. There's a lot of mods out there that take the characters and do something really special with them, and that's what I like. That's what we were trying to achieve here as well, where like, you know, we had a story with the DDLC characters in the universe, like as characters rather than, you know, actual people in the universe. So what I think about mods with multiple endings, I mean, there's some that definitely do it right, I'd want to say, but then obviously there's going to be some that could be leaving the reader as to like, you know, wondering, you know, oh yeah, what's going to happen past here, because there's a lot of stories that just end on a note where you want more, but you don't get more. You kind of just have to assume it, and that could be done well or that could be done terribly. There's like no in between.
Right.
I want to say that let me just use Blue Skies as an example. I know it's like a very like, you know, oh, you picked Blue Skies. It's like one of the most popular mods out there. It is, but they have multiple endings for each character. It's like two endings, like a bad ending and a good ending for each character. And when I played it, I enjoyed it. It was you know, I mean, I can't really say that I was unsatisfied, because like, no matter which character that you like, there was a route for them, and you can go pick them, and you know, there was a bad turnout and a good turnout for them. I mean, it's very, I'd say it's a very subjective thing. It just depends on how it's pulled off, really. And I think in our case, we just did a lot of these endings were fun. We had a lot of fun writing our endings. Obviously, like the shitpost ones that I enjoyed. I wrote the outside one where you escape from Monika after story and meet a fucking parrot and shit. I loved writing that, and I wrote some of the. Did I write some of the Halloween ending?
You wrote some of the runaway Halloween version when he's being chased by the
when he's being
ghost.
chased by the ghost, the fucking hallucinations. That shit was fucking awesome. And for those who don't know, I did pioneer and write my own little mini series called Doki Doki Meth Club, where it had its own like universe and stuff. And I just think that I took a lot of inspiration from back when I wrote that and put it into that Halloween runaway ending where he's getting chased by Freddy Krueger and the ghost of Halloween past and stuff like that. It was really fun, but overall I'd say that, like, you know, most of the endings in our game do try to achieve different things.
Definitely.
And they're all very unique in their own way. And that's what I like about it, you know?
He said it really well. Are you done speaking?
Yeah.
By the way? Okay, cool. So, this is an interesting question, and I think this is going to go for VNs in general, but I know it's kind of a basic answer, but it's because it's true. It really depends on the kind of story you want to tell. There is some stories that can work as linear, and there's some stories that can work as endings. Do you want your mod to end abruptly with like a sort of what's going to happen here sort of ending? Then linear can work like that. It's a short mod because I feel like shorter mods usually work better as linear mods. I mean short as in like 30-minute, hour-long mods or something like that. If it's really large mods, I like having choices. I think choices are really... They're the main thing separating novels from visual novels in terms of actually reading, because you can actually interact with the text sort of and choose certain things. But it really needs to be done well, because you can have a ton of endings and they could just be really stupid endings. You could just throw it, you're like, I want to have a bunch of endings, I'm going to throw endings in there. They have to feel natural, and it's sort of hard to explain. But if you want endings, like for me, I was like, okay, I want to have some choices. How would I go about that? And what I sort of did, I was like, there's a bunch of different things I want to do. I want to have some funny endings, like one where he goes outside, or one where he downloads a sex mod and gets trolled by the clown and ear raped. But then I want to have serious endings, showing stuff like the suicide ending and what happens after the victim is killed by the entity. What happens after that? I wanted to show that. I wanted to show him giving up. I wanted to show an ending where he doesn't give up, the main ending. I wanted to show him going insane, stuff like this. And I think all of them work really well because they all fit within the story and they're all trying to achieve something different, right? I wouldn't say any of the endings really feel forced. And that's the main thing. You can have as many endings as you want, but they have to be good and they have to not feel forced. Because I feel like a lot of times people just want to say they have a bunch of endings. I'm not good, just in general. This isn't just GDLC mods, but they want to have a bunch of endings, and then they'll go in and the endings will be doo-doo. And most of them will, and then you're just like, wow, cool. A new ending, guys, sort of thing. And I think linear stories can work, but I still think it's always a bit more fun having some different endings, because alternate endings are really interesting, because most writers will obviously have like the main ending they want to achieve, and they're like, go to point A to point B, and that was the main ending in Haunting of Mass. But I think it's really interesting to explore alternate possibilities without overruling that story, and that's why multiple endings are really good. But TLDR, that what Dak said was pretty good, and also it just depends, It depends on how you write it and what the quality of the endings are, but I think they have to come naturally and be well planned out for them to actually work well.
Not just having endings for the sake of having endings.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Also related, is there anything you wish you could change or do differently regarding any of the endings?
My code. That's like the one thing, the one gripe that I have with this mod is the fact that when we started it, I coded it like absolute fucking balls, and I wish that I could go back and change it, but like when we picked it up again, I saw all of it and I was like, oh, I really screwed myself here because of the way I coded it, and I wasn't about to go and like rebuild the entire skeleton of this mod, just for it to be a smoother experience for me. I feel like that would have taken way more time than, it did for us to just, update the mod as is. I will admit some of the parts were a pain in the ass for me to code again, but I mean, we pulled through, so I mean it was fine. That's my only gripe with it personally.
Yeah, I think the coding aspect, he managed to do it really, really well, especially for like 2.0, taking that and like still making it work. There's a few bugs here and there, but like, I mean, overall it's really good. It's just like how there's a few spelling mistakes here and there. As for writing, you could I feel like a lot of writers are their biggest critiquers, because you can see a lot of like small errors. You're like, oh, I could have changed that line, I could have changed the structure. Overall though, I wouldn't say there's anything major I would change with the endings. Maybe I would make the isolation ending a little bit longer, because I absolutely love the idea for the isolation ending, and I still think I was able to pull it off pretty well. But if I could, maybe add a little bit more substance to that, or make it a little bit longer, go more into the depth of the other characters. I have there's a secret text file showing sort of what Jason's thoughts were like a year after or something like that. But I think it would have been cool to have an after credit scene showing that. But I still like that ending. I still think, and other than that, I don't want to say there's much I would change about them. You got the funny endings, you got the serious endings, you got the sad endings, you got the lore endings. I'm pretty proud of it. So overall, not that much, though.
Was the game intended to be a crude satire of Monica After Story players? If so, well done.
So well done. So okay. So this is interesting, and I feel like a lot of people. So basically, what happened is we had this idea. We're like, what if we make a funny mod where it's like some chronic MAS player doesn't have a life and he finds some Sonic.exe entity attached to Monica After Story and comes in the real world or whatever. But that was like when we first thought of the idea, it was like a late night we thought of that idea. But then when we actually started making it, actually started developing it, I wanted to do more with it. I didn't want it to just be like some Sonic.exe sort of like there's an entity attached to the file sort of thing. So it starts off like the main thing I was going for was it starts off sort of like a shitpost, sort of getting you in the mindset, oh, this is just an MAS shitpost mod. And then over time, you'll start to see the crack show of what the mod really is, and that's the social commentary aspect of it. MC is a pretty tragic character because as the mod goes on, you learn how he's basically lost everything. His parents left him, his friends left him, his grandparents hate him, and he, instead of facing that pain from all of that, what he does is he relies on Monica After Story, and that's it. His entire life is Monica After Story. It's an escape from reality. And what I really wanted to show is how dangerous that can be. And it's not just for Monica After Story. It's for a lot of other things as well. When you focus so much on one thing to escape. I think there was a quote we used in the epilogue credits about, how you can't run from your problems. You can only face them. And so I think that switch is really well done. Obviously, we poke some fun here and there with the runaway ending where he touches grass, or the clown ending, or like some of the backgrounds, or the products he buys at the store. But I used to play Monica After Story as well, and I just think that like when I was younger and I was going through a tougher time, and I think I just really wanted to have an interesting twist, and I just love social commentary media. I love how artists will take media to tell a message, through their story. Like Danganronpa is a great example of that, and some other games like that, and movies and stories and stuff like that. And I really wanted to do that. So yeah, we poked fun here and there, but it was also a serious message, sort of about not running away from your problems. And there's nothing wrong with playing Monica After Story. There's nothing wrong with it, and that's and Cashier even says that in one of the endings. Kind of talks about how he plays Monica After Story, but MC realizes that it's sort of different from how he plays it, because Cashier just plays it casually, right? But MC, it's become the only anchor to his life. It's an escape. And that's the problem, is when it's the only thing in your life, when it's the only escape from all your problems, it's not going to end well. It doesn't end well for MC until he lets go and accepts the pain, because that's part of being human. We are going to face pain, and I really wanted to show that, and I think I did it pretty well.
Yeah, to add on to what he said, it was kind of crazy when we started making this to see what direction that jam was taking it to, and it was really fucking cool to be part of that. I will say that, like, from how it begins to, like, now with this update, how it ends, it's like it's a very interesting, I think it's a very special project in reality, and I know that some people might not see it like we do, but we did put a lot of thought into it, especially Jam with the way that he wrote it. Um, like it's crazy how it starts off as like just a shit post. It slowly delves into an actual like horror experience with like a huge like overlaying story about where did the entity come from, and like what's this mystery about the creator of the mod. And then it just ends with MC like getting over his addiction of the haunting well, not the haunting of Monica, the Monica After Story, the game. And it's really cool to see that. I do want to say one thing about how we I know this question is probably not part of the question list, but I want to just say that we found the Monica sprite that we used. We found the Monica sprite that we used in the game through Reddit, on the r/MAS fandom Reddit. We were just scrolling one day, and this is also kind of how we kicked off, like making the mod to begin with. We saw user u/Kronichiwa post a picture of their custom sprite, which, by the way, go support them. We'll link them in the description. Their sprite edits are really good now, but that one did receive some criticism from the MAS fandom community, and they were saying how it looked a little bit, like uncanny to them. And when we saw it, we were like, "Oh gosh, that does look creepy," and that's kind of where we got the idea of like, what if that was like a Sonic.exe creepy pasta and it was shitty, and that's how it really all began from there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm really proud of our work, and
definitely,
and yeah.
I'm also it wasn't even just the writing. I also really like how Dak was able to code and do all the backgrounds for the mod, how it gets darker, more gritty throughout, like the saturation. I think that's a really interesting way of making stories. I think the director of Better Call Saul was talking about this, about how color can really affect a story, and I think it really works there because it starts off bright, but then when you really see how this man's life goes, it gets darker over time. And some of the endings specifically, like the isolation and the insanity ending, play more into that. Like how in isolation, he's slowly losing trust around the world and slowly realizing that, he kind of doesn't belong in this world, because now that the entity is after him, he's on his own basically. And so I think it's really well done, and also just how it turns horror aspect as well. It was really well done. The music, all that stuff. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, one last thing I want to mention is that direction that I took with the visual and audio assets. The Haunting of MAS definitely has its style, to say the least. It's supposed to be like a realistic thing, but at the same time, like, I feel like MC's bedroom, we took that from Uncle Mugen, which is obviously a very popular resource in DDLC mods, where, people usually get assets for different outdoor areas, or like the school, for example. So, I mean, like, that's kind of in an anime style, but then, like, we also just decided for the funny part of it to add in, like, really, like, low-res images of, real houses, and, like, disgusting, disgusting staircases, and Michael Myers, and the outdoors and stuff like that. So, like, it definitely has its own style. I think it has its own feel, and it amplifies the experience, like, of imagining the story in your head as well as you're reading it. It's pretty cool, and the ambience I'm pretty proud of as well, I'd say.
Definitely.
Obviously, I didn't make any of that, but I feel like it could be very easy to screw up ambience if you don't do it right, and I just feel like that I did at least a decent job, picking out ambience for the entire game.
It definitely adds a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Oh, why are pretty much all the endings bad endings?
Okay, this is kind of something I've delved into, but I'll focus a little bit more on it now. As I said earlier, with the whole theme and the social commentary aspect, most of the endings are bad because he doesn't let go of Realism Monica. Or not Realism Monica, sorry, the actual Monica After Story, right? As I said, it's sort of a cautionary tale. In the main ending, it's too late before he, realizes the lesson he needs to learn about everything. And also, I feel like later on in the mod, I wanted it to be more dark. And in general, I feel like it just worked. I think the vibe just with like all the different bad endings worked, but especially because of the whole theming, right? It's like as I said earlier, all the endings are different things, and the real good endings is he'll go outside and he'll delete Monica After Story, and that's like that. As I said earlier, that's his anchor. That's his representing his escape from reality. And he deletes that. He goes outside and he meets the magical creature bird and the girl. And then there's the ending with where he gets Grimace and Cashier to help fight the entity. And the thing is there's that scene. I'm not gonna go into this because I don't really want to answer lore questions. But there's the scene where he's talking to Monica, the sprite version of Monica. I'm not gonna go into that, what it is, but and there is an answer, by the way. I'm just not gonna say it. But with that scene, that was one of my favorite scenes in the mod because it really focused on his development. You know, he sees this character that he's basically fallen in love with because it's the only character that'll listen to him. It's the only thing he has in his life, as at least in his point of view. And letting go of that it really shows, you know, the growth that he goes on. And Grimace and Cashier obviously help, and he talks about that in the epilogue, but the biggest change had to go through him. And in most of the endings he doesn't change, or if he does change, it's in the wrong way, like the Insanity ending, or the Claustrophobia ending. Those are some examples, but yeah, that's what I would say. And also, actually, sorry, one last thing. I think another thing is, since most of the endings are bad, I think it makes the epilogue and the Grimace ending more impactful. Because when he finally gets a good ending, you're like, yeah, you know, it's sort of like he finally gets a good ending sort of thing. And I think it works better that way.
Okay, well, final question. Why was Monica After Story the focal point?
Yeah, let me step into here real quick and kind of leave this up on a good note. The main reason, the Haunting of MAS obviously is about Monica After Story,
Yeah.
and obviously that being the MC's addiction, and its commentary on people that specifically in the MAS fandom. We're not saying that it's like a specific person that acts exactly like this. No, this is just like it's more of like everything that we've seen from that community put into one person, and him going through the experiences that he did in our mod. So what I want to say is that if to those obviously to those who are watching that are MAS players that may be having an experience similar to always playing MAS, we're not here to absolutely we're not here to just shit talk you. We're not here to make fun of you all the time. We simply made the game not at the expense of the players. We made it just to tell a story about general addiction, which, to be frank, a lot of the people there's a good handful of people in the MAS community who unfortunately are suffering that, and obviously we don't condone addiction or anything like that, but it's just more like we're just trying to speak up about it and what we think about it, because I've also played a little bit of MAS, probably not as much as JM has, respectfully, but
Hey, whoa, hey. It was only like a few months where I was like, oh man, gotta get her affection points up, and then I got bored and left. But yeah.
yeah, that's what I want to say, is that we're not here to absolutely destroy these people who are going through these problems and are having these issues. We're just here to tell a story about it and hopefully make an impact to the general few who are going through something like this,
Yeah, totally. So we also got some other questions regarding the next project we're working on. We're actually going to show a teaser for that in a second, but before that, I want to say thanks to everyone who sent in questions. There's a lot of meme questions. You know who you are, but Thank you to the people who said serious questions so we could make this video. I really wanted to do a Q&A. I really wanted to talk about the mod, and this was a great way to do that. So thank you guys, and well, let's see what me and C Bonnie Co and Doc Hero are cooking up next. Have a good one, guys.